So things started like I saw that they posted a message saying we should do something for JavaScript. Like there are almost for every technical area there's a meetup these days, right? So I posted something like let's do something for JavaScript, and these days I'm also involved in JavaScript, and I thought okay, cool. And those guys were looking for a place to host the event, and I thought okay, we can do it. So that's how I got involved here, and I know people of the organizers, so that's how we started everything. So other than that, what my initial thought about the meetup is like, let's not make it just another meetup where somebody comes here and talk about some technology. You guys listen. Maybe we should come up with, I don't know, just some idea out of my mind. Maybe we should meet up like maybe one weekend every month and write some code, do some project and make it open source, so contribute it to Apache or put it to GitHub or something like that. I think we have to do something, make something tangible out of these meetups. Otherwise it's just talking about stuff, right? So that's just thought. So we can talk about that. So how the agenda goes is we have like 2 talks. Lakshna is doing one. Laksha, I'm sorry. And Lulita is doing one. And we have like a lightning talk session. We can talk about what we do in JavaScript. So it can be the server side of it or the client side of it, doesn't matter. So what have you done in that area? Maybe that can give you a context of things that we can discuss in the coming meetups, and things that we can do to the community, or things that we can start. So I'll start with what I'm doing in JavaScript area with the team in WSO2. So 4 years back, we started. Actually, when WSO started about 8 years or 7 years back, there's this JavaScript runtime. We wanted to make services, web services written in JavaScript. So that was the initial thing that we did in JavaScript area. And when I joined 4 years back, I was working in that project, and what we did is we wrote some JavaScript on top of a runtime called Rhino. Maybe some of you guys know. It's a library from Mozilla. It's very nice to read. And we write some JavaScript, we put it on Rhino, and we will take that code and put it to access to web service engine and expose it as web service. So that was the initial project that I was involved in, which was a success project. It is called the WSO mashup server. So what it does is it can mash up things. So we have written things to call other APIs, whatever APIs in the web, just like HTTP request object, and like to do soap calls and things like that. There are libraries that we do, and it can mash things up and give you a web service from those services here and there in the web. So that was the initial thing. So after a while, the mashup domain was going towards more graphical end, and people wanted to do things like, maybe you guys have heard the Yahoo pipes. You can do like, there are 2. So I'm starting the lightning session. Okay. So with Yahoo pipes, you can do like, you take from one source to another source, and you connect those things and expose your web service or library, things like that. So mashup server was intended to do something like that, but the industry is going towards a more graphical way. We can do all those things in the backend, like you have to write some code to integrate those things. So we had a limitation there, and we thought, okay, if that's not the area we want to go towards. And after some time, Node.js came into being, and people got caught of the hype and writing a lot of Node.js stuff, which is cool. And finally, people are realizing the potential of JavaScript, because most of the time it was only a front-end thing, so people can just take some IDE, read the DOM things and do various stuff to the front-end. But people were getting very serious about this server-side work environments when Node.js stuff came into being. So we played with Node.js as well, and a lot of the libraries comes with Node.js. And what we found is, for average developer or for a guy who is writing a lot of code in PHP, JSP or Java stuff, this has a little bit of steep learning curve. So we thought like we have to reduce that amount, and we have to write some kind of like PHP-like or JSP-like programming style to have it in the JavaScript environment. So I think during 2012, mid-2012, we started a project called jQuery. Essentially a runtime on top of Tomcat, which uses Rhino as well. To write JavaScript, server-side JavaScript. Like you can write PHP files or PHP files and things like that. So right now, I'm in that team. I'm working on those stuff. And we have initially done the 0.9.0 release. And one of our mentors are, maybe you know, James Clark, who's like, did a lot of work on XML area. So he's driving this effort as well. And we have a lot of things in the roadmap to support RESTful architecture and things like that in jQuery. And internally in WSO, we are using this framework for most of our products, like API Manager and App Factory and things like that, to write all the so in the products we have like a backend stuff and a front-end backend stuff. That means you have a front-end for a backend document that still runs in the server. So for those kind of stuff we are using jQuery, writing those things in JavaScript. So we are heavily using those stuff. We have several enterprise scale deployments. eBay and SubHub are already using these frameworks, and they are doing some customization. So it's going quite well. We have done some IDs, code editors also for this area. So yeah, so that's what I do. There are a few people in my team that maybe 8, 9 people. So all those guys are in those projects, and a few other projects on that. So I would like to welcome you guys, and you guys can come here and talk about the things that you do in JavaScript area, so we can get an idea of what kind of stuff that you do. So for example, I know most of these guys are doing a lot of happening things in JavaScript, so I regularly be in touch with these guys. So I would like to hear, or everybody like to hear what you guys are doing.
There's another definition that you have talking 3 minutes, right?
My talk was welcome plus the items. So,
Kata will be counting the time, then there's
yeah. So can if somebody can start counter
who's going to take the first class? You can talk about anything else. You do the JavaScript,
Okay. Hi, my name is Chandika. I'm from Creately. If you don't know us, we are online diagramming and collaboration software. So you can go to creately.com and check it out. It's replaced Visio, kicked Visio's ass, and we have 500,000 users using it around the world. So Creately is, we started Creately in 2007 and 2008. JavaScript wasn't that great for building a really rich desktop class, Visio eating diagram application at the time. So we built it on Flash. have a great product right now. So as we move forward, we're trying to make Creately move into JavaScript because now the runtimes and the platforms and the technology, the patterns are really nicely set. And so we are starting to move Creately into JavaScript. So we are we do work a lot more on the JS on the coming few months. And in the meantime, while we build Creately, we've also ventured out to some other products. One product that uses JS in particular that we are really optimistic about, which does not have a name yet. It's that new, but our internal team and a few more people are using it for a very common problem of task and project management. And it's built on this platform called Meteor. How many people have heard of Meteor here? So Meteor, if you haven't heard of it, it's an amazing framework. You can build real-time applications, sort of like it's the backend is Node-based, but the front end has JS and it's a reactive UI, something like Angular, as well as templating like plug in any templating engine like handlebars and so on. So I'm not dropping a lot of names, but I'm assuming the community knows this sort of thing. So if you haven't checked out Media, it's amazing. You can build large, scalable, real-time collaborative apps on it. And so we're building another a very big, high-impact application right now inside Synergics, which is the company that we run, that Creately has. So if you haven't seen Creately, check it out. If you haven't seen Media, do check it out. We build amazing apps with it. And pretty soon, check out our yet unnamed product as well. We'll let you guys know as the first private beta testers. Thanks.
I played with JavaScript a lot, and then I did my Google Summer code in Status Mail. Have you heard about this project called Status Mail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is still active.
So yeah, now you change the name and then Identica. Have you heard about that? Identica. Right. I work with them. I built their client-side API. Right. You can run their API on the browser without having to serve. And then after 2-3 years back, then I heard about this amazing framework called JS. Around I think in 2010. Then I worked with that one. Then after a couple of months, right, then I started the company startup. I want to be a company guy. I want to do the startup. Then I was working with that JS and we built a really amazing platform, but our business side went not very good. But our platform was very good. It's built on top of Node.js. Now I'm working with more on the contractors, to the US and UK startups. My current focus is on Meteor. We work with Chandika, there is a lot of collaboration. I'm working with the product, UI and testing.
So Arnaud is a Meteor superstar. As in our app, even with in our team, we had like 15-20 people using it, and it was still having performance issues because it's a new framework, and it was very complex. And Arnaud built amazing timing, built a library to use Mongo's Moblog to scale applications really easily. And that's
my area. My specialty is scaling things. My specialty is scaling stuff. Then I look at wikihacks.com and I do a lot of hacking things, right, on JavaScript.
Hi guys, I'm Silu. So I might be the youngest and the most inexperienced guy here. Okay? So yeah, so JavaScript actually, I really like trying stuff out. So I saw JavaScript animations and all those stuff. So I need to do client-side validation and all those stuff. So I use jQuery was my first thing I used. So after that, I did Node.js, and Node.js was the first time when I was doing it was really hard because you have callbacks and all those things happening, and you are using JavaScript for server side. It was really not pretty for me. So I tried hard. Now I really know Node.js. So I have built a thing called anybody in IdeaMart knows about IdeaMart Dialog. So so I made a simulator to simulate the online environment of their APIs, so that people can build their code and put it on a hosting and then simulate against my online simulator. Rather than it's also multi-user. So if you're like making something a chat application, you really need to see like two phones, how do they interact and all that stuff. So it's done. The simulator is on Node.js. It's on Node.js and hosted at Inaugural. You can see it on GitHub. It's on GitHub. GitHub/possibility. And I've made another thing called About Me Geek Style. So everybody knows About Me, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, but it's like you just post a JSON file with all your details about your emails, your LinkedIn URL and all those stuff. So you can do like about me/Tosino, then it will read the JSON file and render all the data. So please do go and check it out also. It's also on GitHub on my profile page. Thanks.
Everyone, I'm Niranjan. I work at Inaugural. So JavaScript, I use it a lot. I mean, everyone is doing front-end HTML, I think uses JavaScript. I mean, most of you probably know jQuery, right? How many of you have experimented with Node.js? Raise hands. Only one.
There are thoughts.
Of course. How many of you have heard of Node.js? Okay. So, what everyone is talking about might be new to you. But for me also it's new. I love Node.js. It's fun to use. But the thing is that it's a little more complex when you think about it. Like if you're a PHP developer or front end or anything like this, because it's called that, it's event driven. If you're familiar with Ruby or Java directly, it will be much easier to use. For me, I use Node.js just for messages passing on mobile applications, on websites, notifications, like Facebook notifications. It uses a similar thing like Node.js. It's using Tornado web server, which is a push server. So Node.js, you can really create a push server and push notifications, updates. So mobile applications is really easy to build. You can push notifications, updates on real time. JavaScript also is used on mobile apps. If you think about hybrid applications with PhoneGap, how many of you have done any mobile apps with PhoneGap? So JavaScript is really awesome. Well, from JavaScript, you can use mobile apps. And there's so many libraries. Some people use jQuery. There's also more smaller libraries like Zepto. Zepto is much more lightweight and has touch events. jQuery, you need to add another library to have touch events. But Zepto already has it. There's also other frameworks on top of jQuery which you can add. Backbone.js, Marionette.js, Angular.js, Ember.js. Have any of you heard these applications, these plugins? They're really useful in creating mobile applications because then we can put the front end in an MVC style on mobile applications. So when you deploy a hybrid application, we can easily update it. It's much more fast and interactive. So I use those ones for mobile applications. Currently I'm using Node.js with Backbone.js and Marionette.js. Some of you are familiar with Ruby, probably Ruby CoffeeScript, write the JavaScript. CoffeeScript, any of you have heard? CoffeeScript is a compile language that compiles what you write into JavaScript. What's compiled is a bit strange to look at, but it's easy to deploy applications, updates, and everything. Lots of Node.js applications are there for compiling code. There's jQuery, like if you have lots of JavaScript files, it can compile it in a single file and it's easy to deploy. So Node.js is not just an application or just for JavaScript like front end and everything. You can do lots of things, it's very powerful. You should really look into Node.js. Like you can deploy, like PHP is there, but JavaScript has, like it's very similar, but it's event driven. In PHP, you can't run process midway. You run the code and that's it. You can send it to another process in the background, but it's all complex. But instead, if you use Node.js for such a situation, you can just have callbacks. It's very easy to run event-driven things using with the Bootstrap. Has any of you used it? Everyone's using it. It's got a good JavaScript library, CSS, and so you can easily use Node.js to Bootstrap also. And also another thing, Node.js, even though it's like a whole language, you can still use jQuery in it. You can just import it. There's npm for it, and you can just import it. That's JavaScript. JavaScript is so powerful now. I mean, before people were like, oh yeah, you get that tag, put some HTML, put some style, okay. But now you can develop front-end applications, back-end applications, and its performance is incredible. Like, it's one of the most fastest languages. Node.js is one of the fastest languages. There's Scala, Erlang, those also. But Node.js is something anyone familiar with JavaScript can just look into, read some script, and figure out, yeah, it works like that. So you should all give it a try. I mean, like, okay, you can see it online, it's there, someone's talking about it, but you must actually try it. It's so much fun. I mean, I'm bored with PHP. Sometimes you get bored with languages. You use it all day. So just try it. It's not hard at all. It works on Windows, Linux, whatever. Just give it a shot.
Priyanka from the side. So basically, what my involvement with the JavaScript actually. So we had a Java-based post terminal, which is kind of not just a post terminal. It has the online features, and so it's kind of a platform where all the merchants are connected via the cloud host, and you have a lot of online features in that host system. So my management asked me to that was written in Swing with the front end, but we couldn't have nice rich gesture flags and lot of UI components. So what we did was we converted the Swing Pass application into a single page JavaScript application. So when I was doing that, so I went through all these existing frameworks like that Blackbone and Google and things like that. So when I looked into it, I thought maybe this may not suit for requirements, so I was starting writing a separate framework that supports the entire features that we have in the Swing application. So finally we did it. We released the first version, the pilot version, to 3 or 5 merchants, so they are using it. So it's same as the performance that we have in Java application. So that's my involvement with JavaScript.
So is the library that you wrote?
Yeah, I wrote it myself. That basically pure JavaScript, and based on that, we wanted to have gesture features, because we bundle the entire product, the devices and everything, and give the merchant on a contract basis. So in that case, we have to write it, but for to some extent we use jQuery to do the DOM element operations. Other than that, pure JavaScript. It has the MVC architecture. So I went through a lot of existing frameworks and got whatever I need to grasp it. So that's my involvement.
So move to the next session. So you I mean, I think people have used that one, and there are people struggling to use Node.js. And my friend that Ulitha is working at WSO Mobile will be talking about Node.js, and you can do this concept. So you can do this concept with your application really fast and really easy. And he's one of the youngest member in this crowd also. Jamie, right? Okay. Humble.
My name is Ulitha. People call me Chan. I write JavaScript, and I'm pretty fascinated about Node.js and Video, and there's something called Ruby also coming up An example. This is going to be hard. So usually, how do we handle contact? Usually, let's take a website. Multiple users are coming to this website. How do we handle this contact? The scale issue of like how do we handle multiple clients accessing one single web resource? Start a new thread. Simple as that. That's what we always do. Start a new thread. But very easy. But the truth is, this is a diagram compared with Nginx and logic for a static part. And it goes down. And usually, if you guys have operated a PHP server, you know how much hard it is to actually keep it running with concurrency itself. It's a nightmare. So, we perform computation synchronously. That means you do one thing, next thing, and the other thing. The other one is the forwarding process. This is something to do with the kernel. And then a thread. You can think of process as a 5-star cook and a thread as a normal cook. That will be a good example. Then, I'll take a very good example like Portugal. Very simple way to explain this. Now, you have a synchronous Portugal. You have a small one-man Portugal where he takes the order, where he cooks the thing, and where he waits, he gives it to the customer. So this is a synchronous example where you have one guy cooking, catering, and taking the orders. The problem is, say 50 customers come to me. They have to all wait in the queue to get into me. That is the problem with synchronous usage. Then, what we have is called, for example, let's say threads or processes. It's like you have one man, he takes and he gets a copy of himself. Like, for example, he does all those things, but he is a replication of himself. Like, one shop, he does all the cooking, he does the serving, he does the catering and all these things, but multiple people are doing it for him. That is a type of a process forking threads. That is the example for a type of environment. You have one guy, but he's multiple. So you have many people doing the same thing, but the same thing. Then, new type of code to join, which is for the one that Node.js introduced. It's a simple problem where random occur. For him to occur, you have one thread, and he goes on to get all those database and disk related operations. The problem here is that he waits. For example, if I go and get a database query, I have to wait till the database process completes that and give that results to me back. But the case is, now, if you get more threads, this problem is not solved. So what we need is a guy who uses kind of a service-based way, like you have cooking as a service, you have catering as a service. So he delivers the subcontracts to another process, which is the database process, and he gets it to the things for you. And when it's done, you get a callback saying, okay, this is done. Then you can continue on with that process. This is like the main idea behind Node.js. Because Randall, his idea was not to use JavaScript in server. His main idea was to solve this main problem of how we think about concurrency. We should think in a different way that we can handle in a time-based manner. Like, take one thing, pick one other person, tell me when it's done, tell me when this database operation is finished. Then I can do something on that. So, how is this implemented in JavaScript? Callbacks. This is like one of the most famous ways of handling JavaScript. Like if you use jQuery or the client-side library, you have callbacks. It's natively supported in the language. For example, if you take other languages, it's hard to implement this callback facility. And this takes care of a lot of the problems we have in this server-side environment. So, creator thought we have JavaScript on the client side, You can have it in the server side as well to do the same thing, which is call this. I'm handling properly. Okay. This is might look a bit complex to make it like this, but this is an operation to get some data from a MongoDB data source. This server observers.
You can put it to case unifier or something.
Okay. What we are going to do. When this particular comes to this page, we are going to execute this function. So we have to think the request goes here, and we call this instance find a project from a MongoDB. Now, when it comes here, when it's finished, like from here onwards, this process actually continues, which is the hard thing for normal people to understand. Like, if you come from synchronous environment with this, after this call, it executes. The secret to node is it never stops. It will continue on and on and on until you get requests. So once this is accomplished by the MongoDB instance, it will return and execute this function. It's a bit of a hardware thing, but it's like subcontract. You ask a cook to cook something. When it's cooked, it will say, okay, this is cooked. Deliver this back. So one guy, one thread handles all of these requests. So we have this single-threaded way of handling multiple connections. It might be really a little bit hard to understand first because we come from a way where we always use a thread to like handle single or what we call scale. To handle threads. We use threads to handle new clients. But the single-threaded solution can actually accomplish a lot of things. JavaScript by default is an event-based language. That is the biggest strength of JavaScript when it comes to node. So I hope you guys got a bit of an understanding of event loop. I hope it didn't complicate much because did the coding and all those things. But the example I use is the Kotu join. You have three types of Kotu joins. One is the synchronous one. The other one is the fork and the process one, which is like a normal. First one, multiplied. Third one is a man who contracts. He stays here, he asks another people to do this and tells him when it's done. So, node is the third type. I hope you guys understood it that way. Thanks. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Very short question, just add. Okay, so yeah, callbacks are very cool. Yeah, I agree with you, but yeah, sometimes like if you have like nested callbacks, like 3 or 4 callbacks nested, one within another, so it can be irritating. So this is just an example, right? So people must be like, okay, so if you're coming from Ruby or JavaScript environment, so you must be wondering why they like to write my code like this, right? So you can just use threads or like there are fibers and stuff like that. So why should I just use callbacks when it is right? There are like much more cleaner ways of doing this, right? Efficiency is one thing, and like the cleanliness of the code or other the readability of your code. Like, so if you manage a project, like, for example, like I have managed several complex Node.js projects, like, down the line, what becomes complicated is like reading the code, right? So you have a bunch of callbacks and how do you solve all these things, right? So it's kind of hard to grasp at it at a glance. So that's one of the problems, like, so though you like, I agree with you, I'm not just downplaying, right? So just land up. So people might think, yeah, it's kind of cool, like doing things in this way, but it's in more practical ways, like it's not really a solution, but it's just another alternation of doing things. So even in JavaScript nowadays, like there are two, mainly two, right? It's not mainly two, but promises. So it's like sort of a abstraction of callbacks. So rather than writing these complicated nested codes, like even in jQuery, that means in front end, and even in Node.js, that in Node.js it comes as the sync.js. So as it's a separate library, I don't think it's built into Node.js, but yeah, it's a separate library. So rather than writing it works the same way, like, so you have the callbacks, you give a subcontract, but you send a promise, right? So it's like, so you as in your example, so you have this code to join. So he has a subcontractor to do the chopping of the cookie or something. So when he just gives him the job, like, subcontractor gives a token back, right? So when I'm done, this will blip or something like that. So that's like a return value. So it's not, so you're not really nesting the code, but you have a return value, so you can use it to add call. It's not really callbacks, like you can call it again when it's done. So just look into promises. So yeah, learn from the callbacks, and then if you feel like, yeah, because don't commit yourself just to write Node.js code with callbacks, because it will get an error. So you will do a good. It will be a really help for your rest of the team members. Now you listen to him, and today you go back to your offices, and tomorrow morning, like you say, like, yeah, we rewrite everything in Node.js, and to end up with a bunch of callbacks. Don't do that. So your friends and your colleagues might get angry with you. So like, just look into, like, yeah, from here, like, just look into promises and the sync.js kind of stuff. So that will save your ass, I guess. So that's just an add-on.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's one of the problems that you face when you come to a large scale project where you have multiple callbacks inside and it becomes a mess to handle. And also, this might not be the solution for everything. Like Meteor is another way of doing it, which is real time. Where you need to have a dedicated thread for a dedicated client. It solves a different area of problem. You guys, any other questions or suggestions?
One place we can really use Node.js is like scalable data services. So those are not huge, large applications, but you can write like very scalable data services and get your data from those Node.js services. So those are not really big, but some certain amount of JavaScript code with some callbacks and stuff like that. And you can scale that independently without the application, and those things can be done. So that's one place that you can start with.
One question about here is it's also based on Node, so it works in the same way, and it also has an event loop, which has
but it has a dedicated.
No. It's based on something called fibers. Fiber is the abstraction layer of the event loop. So it's not a thread. It's something called coroutine. That means you are running something like thread, but it's still not.
So like coroutines is like threads within threads. So yeah. Once again, when the blocking call is initiated, like it will stop the thread. But it's like, so you don't have like go to that, it is being abstracted for you. So you don't have to handle that layer by yourself. So it's like, so you can write code like, so you say a variable gets a name, and you do a database called find name, and that will be assigned to that name variable. So it's like the same way you like this synchronous code you have been teach when you're using Java or Ruby or more general purpose programming languages. So you write the same type of code, but in the underlying layer, so when you do the call for find, it uses a what do you call it, coroutine. So when the coroutine, so when the job is like offloaded, it will block the thread, but it will continue, it will move on to the next line. So you don't have to worry about the return value.
So the co-routing itself will handle that thing. So that's the idea of co-routings or the fibers. Or in Go, you have it as co-roots. And yeah, I think it's called the actor model. So in the general programming concept is called actor model. It's coming from Erlang and stuff. So look into that here.
Scala also has a very good actor model.
Yeah. So another question. So when you use the event loop callbacks, the problem is if you have some data processing to go or some computing to do. For example, if you have to add up a large array, that will take some processor time. So that will basically, because you have a single thread, it will block, and so your event loop will block.
So those kind of problems should be solved in child processors and stuff like that.
So I'm just trying to understand what is the best practice for doing some, so for example, data processing or some CPU intensive work when you're using Node. What do you guys use to
Do something else.
do something else? So I have Node ready. Node as the
Something else is like child process, process.
as in what platform do you use? As in you have Node.
You can have this node. You can do something for like produce kind of a thing. So Mongo does that for you, right?
So you push it to Mongo and then get it.
It does the math.
Then
Anything else that goes really well with that is not Mongo, that goes really well with Node that you can use?
and there's some kind of integration with the WebWorkers API with Node. I'm not too sure about stability, but so there are some workaround with integrating the Node, JavaScript WebWorkers API with the Node. That means you can do some kind of thing, because creating a processor for something like that is not very good.
But actually, WebWorkers do create process.
Yeah, no, but there's a tool, right?
Yeah,
It's
you
a
can
it's a
like
tool,
use the
something like that.
So, or else I should have another app server, maybe a Java app server that I offload to work right.
Yes.
It's all.
You need to get Java apps. Don't use Java.
Okay, guys, more questions, discussions, more ideas, suggestions.
Hey, anybody know what is the real reason to not to get popular? There were I know there are a couple of other JavaScript frameworks. This is another. Yeah, the real is Chrome, because Node is built on top of the EA, and then it's used by Google for the Chrome. Then people talk about this. Okay, Node is something on top of EA, so you can see some kind of speed there, and the Google is there. So people are trying to trust that. That's the thing.
V8 was completely re-engineered for this object model paradigm, the complicated way of handling this. It's written nicely, and like Brian Dahl himself said, Node is running on top of V8. We are not building V8. V8 is built by genius people. We are just giving the networking libraries for it. He himself said that he's wrong. And one more thing, this OS level abstraction is coming from a BQP library by same guys, which is Joyan and others. You can use that for other, if you want to build something, you can use that as well if you want to.
And one thing, if you use the core node, actually Node did first started with the Linux and Mac, so they use underlying tools on the Linux environment to create Node. But so Microsoft coming to the place, they said, okay, we want Node in Microsoft. So they invest. So they invest and then they do something called GPU in Microsoft. So that's an abstraction layer for those asynchronous systems. Now is the core node is GPU. And there's another abstraction. There's another project called URG. I'm not too sure. There's a project called we use GPU and build with another language called Lua. Then I'm not sure the name of the project.
No questions? No suggestions? Yes.
For web applications, now since Node.js is a single process, it can die. So how are you handling the process management?
Scale, something like that.
Yeah, like say you write a request and at some point Node.js it dies. So in PHP we have have fast process manager that manages the processes and creates more, reduces it, or if it dies, creates new one and continue. So in Node.js, is there a fast process manager sort of thing?
For that, you need to use a deployment level data. Otherwise, in development, I use something called supervisor that gives a start the process whenever it files refresh and all that kind of thing. In your case, like it fails, it dies.
Yeah.
But
So
you need to have
one way is
some
like we use a load balance. That's like the most scalable way to handle it. So if you have a load balancing for one process item, you can route the request to one of
best
the
answer is to run it on top of a pass.
The actual tool is called forever. So you can use forever to start a instead of not if it's that. And there are a couple of tools. Supervisor. There's a new one called EM2. So there's some kind of tool built on top of it forever.
I think load balance is the best option. But if you wait until something dies,
But the problem is when you use a load balancer, then if the process dies, so then it has to be restarted.
no, there are multiple nodes.
So sometimes every node dies.
when you load balance the stuff, like you have to
So,
if
you
you
have
have process,
load
like you have to
balance.
monitor the process and restart it. That's obvious, right? So once it is done, like you cannot afford like to lose your users as one of your process has died. So you cannot afford to lose customers because just one of your processes died. So you have to like restart it. But you have to do that. But load balancer will safeguard yourself. Like it will be slow, but people will still get access to the site.
Because of the load balancing and the process management, one of the reasons people are saying Node.js will be used because they don't know how to manage the processes. So they supervise it, some things. Load balancing, I use Nginx. I don't know if anyone has used Nginx.
Simplest way to do the load balance.
Yeah, I just sent it. Has anyone used Nginx?
Yeah. And there's another one like checkbox. So
Yeah.
You know, checkbox?
There's another like Nginx.
And there's another very expensive one for hardware.
There's the light speed also, light speed.
This memory is handled by gate, and it's, if I have to explain that in the file, it's handled with how good is it? Benchmark wise, it's very good. Memory handling and all those things. Synchronous problem is handled also. I'm not sure what the exact benchmarks are, but comparing all the other yeah, charge benchmarks. Sometimes you can these guys are my website. Yeah. Problem is like array over here. Integer addition. Never is memory over. Memory over here, if you are talking from benchmarking, yeah, it's handled if you want to really benchmark, you have benchmark and you can benchmark it yourself. You can test it out and see that problem is solved. But production real applications are not of it. So you have to see much. For example, some of those servers they have, yeah, they are also
No. download it and project to the site. Download button. If you go to subsequent node, download it will be compile it what is. Yeah, what they are doing. Object is not good for everything. Calculation, object should be avoided. And there's a
Yeah, then always what is trying to solve is this IO related to the platform, not the CPU intensive task. The CPU intensive task, but that's
I think one can.
But for instance, there are Python systems, like large systems are totally on Python. Like there are a couple of examples, but are there such examples in Node.js in how they run?
Yeah, there are. I also am not sure if an entire application runs in Node.js.
So for instance, P, which was acquired by Facebook, ran on top of Tornado, which was written in Python.
Yeah, I think that's right now there's a limitation in Node.js. It can get really messy when you write the entire thing in Node.js. With these event rules and all those things.
But Tornado had the same problem of this code that they were also using the same thing. Tornado, it all started with default. Tornado started with there were people using Tornado in other stuff. But is anybody using Node.js?
Node.js in other languages also.
Why do they not use it?
Because Node.js is not specifically like real time. It doesn't have.
Tornado was the same.
Yeah, Tornado is the same thing. The thing is that was popular because of this. Python is a very old language. People can easily just program and develop it. But Node.js because it's new, it's still learning. Even when you start up, just in startups using Node.js, just mobile apps, just using Node.js. But the thing is, it's not popular that they say that it's using Node.js.
For example, between the entire backend runs in Node.js. The data, those things runs in maybe Lakshan is more example.
Yeah, I guess what we should do is like we should open a Google group or something and do all this like hypothetical discussions onto that like because people feel like some of the audience might feel like this right? So everyone cannot like contribute the topic as the same way. So better like more high level discussions with platform which is more readable and so everyone can then read it and digest it afterwards. I guess that's the best way to do it.
Actually, I have a question as a participant. To wonder, as in how many of you are back-end guys or how many of you are front-end guys, if you can differ yourselves. Really, the question is, because it's very important for us to figure out what we should talk about. And so, because the thing is, Sri Lanka has a lot of back-end people and very little number of front-end people who can really think about user experience as well as being able to use a high powerful language, which is JavaScript is a powerful language. But as in some time back, even I wrote my first JavaScript application a few months ago. But before that, I didn't want to write JavaScript because it's a messy language, right? We have nicely structured things like Java and Python and so on. We learn this in university and so on. So it's much easier to work with much more structured languages. So JavaScript was left for the web devs just to put some jQuery somewhere at the end of a product lifecycle. So right now it's changed. We're writing entire applications in JavaScript. So I think it's very important for us to know who's doing front-end stuff in JavaScript, because I think as a country, for us to be really building world-class products, we need more people doing front-end JavaScript than back-end JavaScript. The back-end stuff you can figure out somehow, right? But the front-end user experience, if you screw it up, users will not like you. So you have to really know this stuff. So I think we should, if we know how many people are front-end oriented, we can do more talks on front-end stuff. And so can we have a show of hands of how many people would like to go front-end?
Yeah.
Front-end. Awesome, right? So the thing is this, there are so many stuff that's happening in front-end JavaScript.
How many backend?
Should talk.
How many backend?
How many backend? Right, so there's so many great stuff happening on front-end. So we should really talk. So the thing is Node and media and all this stuff is you can go full stack. You can be a front-end engineer and just hack the back-end and get something done really quickly. Or you can be a back-end engineer. A back-end engineer, for a back-end engineer to move front-end, it's a little difficult. Honestly, because you have to think user. And thinking about users and individual users' decisions and where do I put this button? Do I put a button or not? Is it like a focus out event? All this stuff comes into question, and I think there are lots of discussions to have in that area. And I think it's really important for us to do that skill anyway.
I think with JavaScript, it's really good. It's really an opportunity for the front-end to move to the back-end. Both languages, same language in the back-end and the front-end. So it's really easy for a front-end developer to figure out the back-end and write this stuff. So earlier days, you write your JavaScript and front-end stuff with HTML and JavaScript, and you have to ask for the Java developer or PHP developer to write the back-end for them. So in this way, they can just write their JSON file or something like that and plug it to the front-end, and you can get the instance.
And then another thing, actually, sorry to back you off. For historically, front-end engineers have been looked down upon by back-end engineers. But you need to really understand that, for example, in our company, front-end engineers get a lot of respect because we are building a consumer-facing application, right? And it's extremely difficult to find people who can really think about users and think about where to put a button, how this interaction works, how fast is interaction, what is the user feedback loop. All this stuff is really user plus product builder thinking that you really need to have. And if you're a front-end engineer who's taking shit, you should be taking shit. You should be proud that you're a front-end engineer, and you should build your skill level in using JavaScript and using so many libraries like jQuery and so on, and get into the deep end of it. And there are lots of Backbone is a great framework that was there now. Angular is there and so on. So you can build great stuff with this stuff. So you should read up, get on Hacker News and do the stuff.
It's time for the front-end guys to guess.
Yeah.
Guess of the back-end guys.
Alright, guys, I hope you got an understanding of the reality.